Hello, good day. My name is Jelly Loladimeji. I'll be presenting to you lesson 1 of module 1 of our advanced formula course, and the topic of this class is self-referencing. What exactly do we mean by self-referencing? Self-referencing is that part of Excel that helps you to change your formula anytime you want to move it from one location to another location. Because in Excel, we have 1,048,576 rows from 2007 version, and we have 16,384 columns. And if you take a product of the two, you get 17 billion. A lot of cells to work with. One of the things we do in Excel is copying formula from one location to another location. Anytime you copy a formula in Excel treats it in 3 different ways. Number 1 is it's either Excel treats it as a relative reference, or as an absolute reference, or as a mixed reference. What do we mean by a relative reference? Relative reference is a situation whereby when you copy a formula from one location, Excel automatically changes the formula in relative to the new location. For absolute reference, Excel will not change the formula, it keeps it constant. And for the mixed reference, Excel adopts and combines the 2 formal methods, which is a combination of the relative reference and the absolute reference. By the time I go into examples, you exactly get what I mean. In this case, I want to show you an example of a relative reference. Here, I have my products from A to E, and I have my quantities as well as my prices. I'm just going to write one formula here, and I will copy it down, and you will see that Excel will change it automatically because this is relative reference. In relative reference, there is no $sign before the row, there is no $sign after the row. So I will just simply write one formula, and my formula is this, multiplied by my price. Now if you look at this formula, to edit this formula, what you need to do is to press F2. If you press F2, you will edit your formula. You can see C41 times C43. You can also look at this place. You're going to exactly find your formula there. Now C41 times C43, that's the formula I wrote. But in Excel, because Excel is a brilliant and intelligent tool, if I copy this formula and I take it to another cell and paste it there with Ctrl V, Excel will automatically change this formula. If you look here, you will see that my formula has been changed to D41 times D43 because I'm now in column D. If you look here, you will see that my formula has been changed to E41 times C43. It has been changed here to F, and it has been changed here to G. This is exactly what we mean by relative reference. In relative reference, you don't put any $sign before the row or before the column. I'm going to show you another example, and this example is about absolute reference. In absolute reference, I want to multiply my product quantity with my prices, and what I'm going to do is here I will type my equals to and multiply this by my price. In this case, if I copy it and I paste it, I'm going to get an error. Why? Because I don't have prices here. So I have to change this formula to what we call an absolute reference. If I change it to absolute reference, it will give me the desired result. And just take a look at this. I'm going to lock this cell. And to lock this cell, I'm going to use F4 to lock it. So just see what I'm trying to do. Quantity multiply by the price. Here, this price, I need to lock it so that wherever I copy it to, this will still be constant. And to lock it, I need the $sign, 2 $signs, one before the row, one before the column. And to apply $sign, then I need to press my F4. Now, if you look at my F4, I've pressed my F4, and it has shown me 2 $sign, one before the column and one before the row. So now this $sign is a toggle. This F4 is a toggle. You can keep pressing it and it will be giving you different scenarios. Now if you look at it, it gives me $2 sign. Now I press another F4, it gives me $1 sign in between the row and the column. I press it, it gives me $1 sign before the column, nothing before the row. I press another one, no dollar sign at all. Then I lock it again. It's a toggle. Now I've locked it. I just enter like this. I'll just copy this formula and put it and paste it here. Now I'm getting the right result. This is what we call absolute reference example. The next example has to do with mixed reference example. And this mixed reference example is going to combine the relative reference as well as the absolute reference. In this case, I have 3 departments and I have 3 expenses, and I want to share all these expenses in these ratios. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to write one formula and just enter it and paste it, and it will give me the right result using my understanding of absolute and relative reference. So what I'm first going to do, I'm first going to highlight this place and I'm going to write this formula. Now I'll just do this, take this, divide by total, which is 100, and what I will just do is multiply by this. Before I paste, let me quickly explain this. Now in this scenario, I have 2 bases. The first base is my row base and the second base is my column base. At each point in time, I have to lock this 89 so that my formula will not move to 90. But I want my formula to be able to move to column E and column F. So in that scenario, my D89, I'm going to lock this 89. I am not going to lock the D. I am in column D, row 89. But because this 89 is a base, I am going to lock it, but I'm not going to lock the D. So that's what I'm going to do. To lock it, I'm going to press my F4 and toggle it until 89 is locked. Now I've locked my 89. Now if you look at G89, G89 is the base for everything. It's the total base. And in this case, I'm going to lock it both sides so that it doesn't move at all. To lock it, I'm going to use my F4, apply my F4. And as I've locked both G, I've locked both 89. Now the remaining one is the C90. In this C90, the C is my base, but at this base, I want it to be able to move to C91 to C92, but I don't want it to move out of C. So what I'm going to do is very simple. I'm going to lock my C. So now I've locked my C. So I haven't done all this. All I'm just going to do is to press Ctrl Enter. And immediately I do this, it gives me the desired result. You can see that this is now correct. If you take a total of this, you're going to get exactly the right total. You're going to get the right total. So if you look at this now, if you take Ctrl D, you see that it's giving me the right result. Now, the last example I have in this tutorial is the timetable example. Just like I did up, I just want to write one formula, and by the time I copy this formula, it will give me the right result. Now what I'm going to do is, I need to understand that I have 2 bases. The first base is my row base, and my row base is row 101. I have to keep it constant at any point in time. Then I have another base, and the other base is column C. This column C, I have to keep it constant at every point in time. Every other thing can be unconstant, but my row and my column bases must be what? Constant. So I'll just do like this, take a multiple of this, multiply by this. Now if you look at this C101, the C101 is on 101 is my base. Because 101 is my base, I'm going to lock 101. Now 101 has been locked. And if you look at B102, B is my base, but 102 I won't lock it. So I'm going to lock B, pressing F4. Now my B is locked and my 101 is locked. So what I'm just going to do is press Ctrl Enter, and this gives me the right result. This is the end of this tutorial. I hope you really enjoyed.